to talk about change, why it's so hard, why we should embrace it. And the thing is, change is just good. So are you ready, Christy?
I'm ready. Let's talk. All right. So, and I missed almost all of your little intros.
I just was talking about the old stuff that we been on.
Can
The
I
old
get
stuff.
this camera to stay
Go
up?
ahead, you can talk and I'll take care of it.
Okay, you can set it up. All right, so just like Nikisha said, I mean, change is hard, right? And I used to be one who was very resistant to change. And it wasn't until here's the thing about change. You may be saying you're resistant to it too, but what I found is when I can look back on my life, I can see I say I'm resistant to change, but you guys, I'm always, like, if you look at my path, my background, my experiences, the things I've done, I've been in and out of change my whole life.
It comes.
Yes.
It's automatic.
That's the thing about change. Like, we talk about we got to learn how to embrace change and we shouldn't resist change. But at the end of the day, like change is inevitable.
Yes,
you guys, God designed us to change. I mean, if you think about it, think about like everything that God designed, from the seas to the plants, trees, to us, to birds, to flowers, everything He designed to grow, to change, to evolve.
Right.
We are no different. He designed us to grow, to change, evolve. We're supposed to change. That's the only way we grow and we learn more about who we are and our purpose and really how to be happy in life. We have to grow and change. And so the thing about, I mean, even think about the seasons. Like, the seasons are cyclical for a reason.
Right.
I mean, God did this for a reason. There is a rhythm to life. We go in cycles, we go in circles, we have ups and downs. That is a rhythm.
Yes.
You cannot fight past the rhythm of life. You cannot believe that you're going to be able to just always be on the mountaintops and you're never going to hit a valley.
Right.
And so,
even with mountains, it just came to my mind. It's a struggle to climb up a mountain.
yes.
But it's easy to go down the slope.
Mm-hmm.
So if we going up, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be trying. It's better to go through that than to always fall down where it's easy. Always to go back where it's easy. So, the Bible tells us all the time that God gives us day after day to renew our minds.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, He's telling us that you're able to change daily. Our past don't mean that we have to stay stagnated, or it don't mean that we have to remain in the same situations. He's given us the ability to change. Like you said a few minutes ago, the seasons change. And something that was revealed to me, I felt like God told me your winter is over and now it's spring.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was real in my face, because winter is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And what comes after winter?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to understand that we have to be willing to move along with change. You change in age. You change in weight. Change is going to come. So if we're more acceptable to embracing it, I think that life can be more smoother.
Yeah.
If we didn't fight the change.
Yeah. And let me give you all the Cliff's Notes version in case any of y'all have to jump off early. The Cliff's Notes version is the reason why change is so hard is because the enemy knows that we were designed to evolve and change.
Yes.
So he ain't gonna make it easy, and he is going to lie to us and convince us that you're not capable, you're not able, it can't happen, it's not in the cards for you, you can't do this, it's too hard, you're not educated, you're not this, you're not that. He is going to lie.
Yes, and what's so crazy, what the devil operates in. He lets us operate in a spirit of fear.
Yes.
So change is fear. You're scared to change because of the fact that you're scared to lose control. You don't want to step into the unknown because you want to control everything. So that's why change is so hard for people, because we're in fear of not having that control. When we should be giving all control to God anyway. He should have all power. He should have all control. Right. And I'm willing to walk by faith. And whatever He's guiding me to do, I'm willing to trust in Him and believe that He'll see me through it. So I'm just all for change. I'm all for evolving. I'm all for getting better, because with change comes growth.
Yes.
And who wants to be stagnated and stuck in one place their whole life.
Yeah, well, and some people do. And that's the thing, is it's comfortable to be in a comfort zone, yes. right? It's uncomfortable when we don't know what to expect. So just like Nikisha was saying, that was the fear I had. I am type A, control freak personality to the max. And so whenever I'm going into a change and I can't predict the outcome, I can't predict if I'm going to be successful, I can't predict if all the fear to creep in, and I'm ridden with anxiety, and now I don't want to move forward into change. So anyways, again, that's the Cliff's Notes version. The enemy is trying to stop it. So if you're struggling with change and you're struggling with not being able, and we're going to talk about, because there's different types of changes, right? Like, so there's changes we can personally initiate ourselves, and then there's some changes that we don't get to initiate. We don't get that choice. Right. And so we know that there's differences to both, and so we'll talk about that. But again, I want you to at least when you get off of this, know that when you are facing change, it is hard. And the reason it's hard is because the enemy knows when we go through change and we do it the right way, and we'll talk about that too, but when we do it the right way, we are going to grow. Yes. And every time we go through change, like the purpose of change is we're stepping into the unknown. We don't know where we're going. We're walking by faith, just like Keisha said. Yes. And so, but at some point, it's like, we have to totally trust God.
Yes. And like he in Isaiah 43:19, it says, God says, see, I am doing a new thing. I am making a way in the wilderness. So that involves trust, because you have no idea of what is going on, but he's telling you, I'm doing a new thing. And I'm making a way. I'm making a way. And all of the troubles that you're going through, I'm making a way. So right then and there, it tells you, you don't have no control of this. Yeah. What you have control of is if you trust me or not. Yes. So right now we have to get into a season of trusting God and believing God that if he's bringing us to it, he'll bring us through it. That's right. And that's something I truly take to heart.
Yeah, and I love how you brought up, like, he parted the Red Seas, right? So here he is, he's telling him, okay, you go forward, go out, I'm freeing you, here, you take the people, and then all of a sudden they hit this barrier. What's the barrier? The barrier is the Red Sea. How are we going to get through this, God? Like, what are we going to do? God says, okay, and he parts them. They walk through, right? Our ancestors, they walked through the Red Sea. Now they're in the wilderness. What do you need in the wilderness? What do you need in the wilderness? You need water, right? You need water to survive. Guess what God did? He provided the water. You guys, we keep looking at all these barriers in our lives and thinking that they're what's stopping us. Yes. But those barriers, God can use those barriers to bless us. He took the water and he split it into dry ground so they could be blessed and walk forward. And then they needed water. What did he do? He covered the dry ground back up and they had water. Yes. He will use our barriers for our blessings.
Yes, so, that was good.
And then the other thing too that I want to say is just even where we're talking about change, and we can get into like the different types of changes. But one of the things that both Nikisha and I were drawn to was in Ecclesiastes 3:1.
And I think you wanted to read the whole scripture.
Well, I just want to point out some things because the purpose of Ecclesiastes 3:1 is to really let us know, like, he planned all of this.
Yes, and like we just said, there's a season. It says there's a time for everything, and there's a season for every activity under the heavens. Mm-hmm. So basically what I received from that was, we have to stop trying to force. Yeah. We got to stop trying to bring the old and what's familiar into new grounds. Yes. You see what I'm saying? Well, God is trying to take us, and what he's trying to do, we have to stop trying to bring the old with us. It's a new season, baby. So we have to be acting in the newness. We can't hold on to what's old. And that's the problem. That's why we're going through the troubles. That's why we're going through the rains. We're bringing most of this on ourselves because we're trying to drag some old things into new situations. And so what God is trying to set up to prepare us for our destiny, we are so comfortable with being comfortable. Well, now we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's right.
Because where God is trying to take us is unfamiliar. Yes. If we're looking to change, we're looking to see something new. And you can't get something new doing what's old.
That's right.
If we're doing the same thing over and over, how are we going to see something new?
Yeah. And the other thing that I'll say about that, because I love that you brought that up, is there are times where we're going through seasons of change and we're like, he's not there. Like, and you're going to be like, Nikisha and Christy said that he was going to be there. He's not there. I don't know why that one's not working. But you guys are thinking he's not there. But the thing is because you're trying to see him the same way you saw him in the last season, in the last storm. And just like Nikisha said, guess what? It ain't going to look the same. No. So he may have parted the Red Seas before. He may have moved you up the mountain before. But guess what? This time he's going to do it different.
Yes.
And that's the thing I think sometimes we get caught up on is like we think it always, you know, like he did this great grand miracle before. Like he's got to do it again. If he doesn't, we're expecting that, and then all of a sudden it's like God failed me.
Yes,
No, it's just gonna look different. He's doing a new thing, just like you said. That's part of change. The new season, the season's turn. But yeah, so anyways, that's what the whole Colossians or Ecclesiastes 3:1 is about. Is he's saying there is a time for everything, and he points out there's a time for life, death, time to throw things away, time to keep things. Like you guys, right here in the Word, it's telling us we have to evolve, we have to change.
Yes.
So there are times where, what's the verse say? Oh, it's it talks about a time to born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck. Let me talk about that. So you hear people talk about your sowing. We talked about it last week. You're sowing your seeds, you're planting your harvest, all that. That's the same. This is what he's talking about. So there's going to be a time in your life, especially if the change is trying to get a new job, trying to start a business, trying to lose the weight, or there's going to be a time where you're going to have to put the work in. You're going to have to plant the seeds. You're going to have to tend it. You're going to have to water it. You're going to have to pray over it. But guess what? He guarantees us that the harvest is going to come.
Yes, it is.
So
yes, it is.
There is, just like with everything we say, there is always a purpose. Where people fail in being successful with change is because they're trying to do it alone.
Right.
If you are trying to change something on your own, you will fail every time. I promise you will fail every time. You may find instant success or instant gratification. It's not going to be anything that will sustain you. God has to be in it. He has to be in it. We were designed to be in relationship. That is how he made us. So even for those of you who are on here who are like, I just don't like people, I don't want to be around people. Guess what? You were designed to be around people. And our primary relationship is with God. So if we know that, how could we even think about trying to move forward in a change or asking for a change if we're not going to put him at the middle of it?
And even with that, if you're in a situation where you're trying to change on your own, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to feel like you can't do it. So that's the point of the relationship, to help push you forward and say, no, don't give up, because you can and you will. And that's I just appreciate our relationship so much, because at times when it's going to be times where you want to quit, but when you have those people around you who's believing in not only you, but believing in the person who you serve and the person who is going to provide everything that you need, they're able to encourage you and they're able to feed into you the things that you need to grow, because this whole change thing is about growth. I told Christy earlier that I put that change equals growth when we do it voluntarily, and change equals grief when we do it unwillingly.
That's so good.
It was powerful. It was very powerful to me, because if I get before it and I say, hey, I'm going to make this change and I'm going to do it on my own, now I'm ahead of the game. And I'm making the calls. Even though I'm walking on uncharted waters, or I don't know what's ahead of me, at least I'm making the choice to move out on faith. And I'm making the choice to say, hey, I don't see what's about to happen, but I'm believing in it. But then if change comes and we have no control, now not only are we stepping out onto some uncharted waters, but now we're in a state where we might possibly drown.
That is so good.
You see what I'm saying? Because we're going to sink in the things that we don't know. Yes. Because we're not in control. It's not the control thing, because we're losing control, but because we're not ahead of it. And we're not choosing to say, hey, I'm going to walk in this change on my own. So this is a huge revelation for me. And just you saying that, when we are ahead of it, what are we doing? We're intentionally asking God. Come on now. Yeah, we're intentionally seeking God, saying, I can't do this on my own. I need you.
Okay, let's give some examples. I can tell you about every time, like, so in my life, like I had a 10-year career in corporate management. I walked away from it and to keep building a business from home that I had started, a multi-level marketing. I walked away from that. But before I walked away from, that's a huge change, you guys. Before I walked away, I got ahead of it, and I asked God, and I begged him to give me the peace, and I begged him. And you guys, by doing that, everything fell in place.
Yes,
I mean, it blew my mind when I walked away from that job. Like, he almost tripled our income for that year.
Yes.
Crazy. When we were moving from San Antonio to Cyprus, where we just moved in June, it was crazy. None of it made sense, because even our family was like, what the heck are y'all doing? We were leaving all of our family on both sides, coming to this new area where we knew really no one. And like, we're like, it was God. It was God telling us.
Right,
and
right.
we had another house in San Antonio that we were buying, and we pulled out of that, and we were just like, okay, God, you lead us. And all the doors open. So when I look back, and I bring those two examples up because I had a friend who told me, like, man, so many of us go through life and we just resist change. We fight change. But here you are. I've watched you now just continually embrace change. And I remember when I read that text, I was like, what is she talking about? I don't embrace change.
Yes.
I do when I put God first.
Exactly. And when you put him first, everything else will fall into place. And change is not bad. It's really a good thing. Like this right here is change.
Yes.
This right here is change. I don't know how. I mean, nobody but God, you know. And like I said, I begin to pray for divine connections. I begin to pray for God to place people in my life that can take me to new levels, that can teach me new things.
Yes.
And I said this on my personal thing this morning, that, you know, when you in a circle, if you're the smartest one in the circle, then you need to find a new circle. If you're the one in the circle who's depositing everything, you need to find a new circle. You need people that's gonna deposit into you. And just like she said, both of us, like when I got out of the military, that was a huge change, because I was leaving for sure stability. I was leaving for sure insurance. You know, I was leaving things that I was comfortable in. I was very comfortable knowing that my house note would always be paid, knowing that my children would always be able to go to the doctor if they needed to, knowing that if I wanted to take a trip, I would be able to take a trip. But I stepped out on faith, and I did what I felt like God has called me to do, and I still have been able to pay my house note without a job. Yeah. If that makes sense. I'm still able to take a trip if I chose to without a job. Yeah. Because I embraced that change. I didn't. Of course, you're going to be skeptical about it. You're going to say, is this going to work? How will it work? But if you choose to take it step by step, like my pastor says, one step at a time, and believing in those steps that you're going to take, God will provide. I promise y'all, God will provide. It's just crazy. And both of us, we were just talking about how we're still in the process of change. Yeah. All of this is change. All of this is new to us. But instead of fighting it, now we know to embrace it so that God can show himself. Yeah.
I mean, listen, y'all, there's 7 billion people, I think, roughly on this planet. And let's just narrow it down to America. Over, I think a recent study I saw was like over 70% of Americans are in jobs that they hate. Yes. They hate. Their stress is crazy. They dread going to work. They live for the weekends, vacations, holidays. That's what they hate it. And I'm like, why? It's because so many of us get comfortable in those comfort zones and we resist change. If you are that miserable in what you're doing, if you're wanting to change your attitude, if you're wanting to lose weight, if you're wanting to, try to figure out what am I supposed to be doing because I hate what I'm doing right now, you have to take the efforts to say, okay, I am going to embrace change. God, you show me. You show me. You show me the next light. You show me the next step. And then we act, just like we've been talking about.
And sometimes I think that they understand, like you see it. You know what it is that you're supposed to do, but you're so comfortable. Yes. And you don't want to feel uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable, you're unsure. Oh, you see what I'm saying? So I think that they see it, and I think that they know maybe I should take this step out. Maybe I should move, but it's that fear that holds us back, but are we going to continue to let fear hold us captive and not let us experience all that is out there for us to experience? Yes, I'm not saying to you, hey, go and quit your job and not think about your stability. But at the end of the day, I feel like God gives some of us, he gives some of us the vision. Hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But we like to cling on to what's comfortable and what we've been doing. But you have to understand, when we do that, we're losing out on everything that's out there for us to get. Everything that's like just the, I mean, it's big. It's really, I can't explain it because it's just like, damn, that. And when you begin to tap into it, you're like, dang, if I would have tapped into it long time ago, where would I be? You see what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of not letting fear hold us back, not letting fear hold us captive. Yeah. Because it's just like we're just imprisoned to the fear of change.
You know what it is? Like, this just hit me. This is week 7, and every single week we have had people ask us about how to find my purpose, how to find my calling. You guys, this just hit me. Your purpose is in your change.
Amen.
Like, you cannot find your purpose if you are not changing. God is trying to give you your purpose, but you're not willing to take the chance. You're not willing to change.
And look what my pastor said yesterday. He said, you will not know who God has called you to be until you embrace the change.
Oh, see, I was right there with
you will not know who God has called you to be until you embrace the change. The thing is, y'all, change now before you're forced to change.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I was just convicted when I got that big smile on my face because the Holy Spirit convicted me. I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to go back to the story where I said I left my job. I was praying. I had been praying since 2011. I circled it in my journal in 2011, and I had been praying for it. And he'd been giving me signs. He even gave me the opportunity with the multi-level marketing, and it was going really well. And I had made like a $10,000 bonus and everything, but I was still hesitating. He made me move.
Yes.
So how did he make me move? That's when I ended up with the pulmonary embolism. And I'm not saying God gave me the pulmonary embolism, but I kind of believe that he needed to get me on my back.
Get your attention.
Come on now.
Come on now.
And within within a week, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to jump into this. That's what it was. I didn't even join yet. But I had the pulmonary embolism, and it was within that week in the hospital that I saw the opportunity, and God spoke to me, and I jumped on it. Mm-hmm. So there are times where he is trying. We prayed about something, and we're asking for answers.
Yes, and he's giving
it to us, but we're just not listening. Yes. And so there are times where he will force our hand.
Yes.
And that pulmonary embolism, I feel like, and I tell everybody, it was my biggest blessing because it changed everything for me. I was miserable in that job, and I don't wish a pulmonary embolism on all y'all, but I want you to know that there are times that he's gonna be speaking to you and trying to get you to change. You're not gonna listen. You're not gonna hear it. Maybe your mind's not open to it. Your heart's not open to hearing him, and he will force the change. So what that might look like is that promotion you were hoping on.
You'll never get it.
You won't get it. And so now you have a choice, right? We always have choices. Do I stay here with this job who's not going to promote me? Mm-hmm. Or do I start the process of looking other places?
And that's so crazy. A girl in my class, she had said that God had been telling her to move to Houston. And she was like, but she was so caught up in the party life, and she just wanted to enjoy herself in Alabama. And she was like, well, she knew that the job that she was at, it wasn't enough of money to sustain her for the lifestyle that she wanted. But she was so comfortable with being in Alabama to the point where that job said, you're fired. So now she's forced to move to Houston when the job opportunity was already given to you in Houston, and you ignored it because you wanted to stay where it was comfortable.
That's a good
But she also said that once she made it to Houston, so many doors were open for her. So it's the thing, when God tells you something and we move, when we're obedient to what he's given us, the doors are gonna open. The provision will be made.
They fly.
The provision will be made for you. So sometimes we have to stop living in fear. We have to listen to what God is saying, and not only listening to it, we have to move out on it. This is a season that we have to be obedient.
Yeah.
Delayed obedience is still disobedience.
Yeah.
Somebody else's life depends on our obedience.
That's good.
Yes, so we have to, this season right here, we have to embrace everything that God is, or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything that's being thrown our way, we have to embrace it, gather that stuff up, fix it up, and try to figure out how we're going to make it to our destiny. Because again, I'm going to keep saying it, 2019 is a great year.
Yeah.
It's a great year. It's not by accident that we're doing this right now. This is all a part of what God has in store for us. And if I didn't embrace Christy, I didn't embrace the change, we would have been being disobedient, because right now we know that this is something that God gave to us.
Yeah.
These topics that we get every week, we get confirmation on them daily. We get confirmation on them daily. This is something we're praying about. And the thing is, it's so true. When you look at yourself right now, if you were in the same place last year, that's not cool.
Yeah, no, you should.
Then you should look at yourself right now, and you don't want to be in the same place next year. We have to think about it. When we begin to change, we have to, the real change comes when we change something that we do daily. Something that we have a habit of doing. You don't see change until you change something that you do daily. For instance, let me give an example if it wasn't clear. I've never read before, but now me reading daily, that's a change in my habits. That's a change in my daily schedule. And now I'm feeding into my personal growth because of the fact that I picked up the change and I want to grow. So now I change something. I'm not sleeping that extra hour. I'm changing that habit of not sleeping that extra hour to get up and read. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense. We have to change something that we've done daily to see a change in our life.
I mean, that goes for, like, look, we're talking about a job or something like that, but like that's even losing weight or changing your attitude, like the negativity that you always have or whatever it is, or your financial situation, getting out of debt. This is all changes. It doesn't have to be the big life changes. Sometimes,
action.
Yes, and sometimes it's just the small changes that are as much. But over here, Joe said, your idea of how God is providing won't look like you think it should.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We know that for firsthand.
For a fact. That is 100% true. And I think that's the other thing is sometimes where we pray and we ask for changes and we start moving forward in it. And then all of a sudden, like, we hit a valley or we don't get out of that valley as fast as we should. And it doesn't look this way, God, but you didn't part the seas. And last time you parted the seas, God. But you know what? 2 Peter 3:9 says the Lord does not delay. He is not slow. And I'm saying he's not slow by world standards, by our standards, but rather patient and willing to wait so we don't perish.
Right. We have to understand.
You guys.
Yes, we have to understand that if he moves on his timing.
Yes.
And his timing is the perfect timing. When things fall into place, God strategically plans everything. That was a good scripture, Christy. That was so good. That was
well, because I think sometimes when we're going through change, we think like change has got to, we have our timetables, we have our own expectations, and that's the thing that I'll tell you is that's my biggest struggle is I have expectations for everything and everyone that I'm trying to work through, and I even have expectations for God. No, I'm human. I'm in the flesh, so I'm telling y'all that's my sin, and so I'm trying to free myself of that. But this verse to me there's so much freedom in this. He doesn't want me to perish. He doesn't want any of y'all. He doesn't want any of us to fail. So when we step out, it may not happen the way we want it to. It may not happen as fast as we want it to. But guess what? It's because he is being patient. Even when we aren't, he is being patient because he knows if we jump too soon, we're going to perish.
Come on now.
Right? So I love that you had said that. If you didn't part the sea, look for a boat, or maybe it's time to swim. God will give you the way. That's right.
And all of it is good. Something John Maxwell said, I listen to him daily. He said, we cannot become what we need to become remaining who we are.
Yep.
And I think that's powerful because we should always be looking to grow. We should always be looking to evolve. The whole point in life is, like she just said, God does not want us to perish. He's looking for us to have an abundant life, like to live in the land of bearing plenty fruit. Like he wants us to bear plenty fruit. So if this is all in his word and these are all his promises, He has a way to get us there. But the whole thing is, we have to get on task. We have to get in alignment. We have to be wanting his will for our lives and not our will. So therefore, change have to come into play. We have to be willing to surrender our wants, our needs, and we should be surrendering to God completely so that he can give us all the things that he has in store for us, because it's so much.
Yeah.
It's so much in God. I want to experience those great fruit, not just for myself, but so that I can be a blessing to others. And not so that I can just be a blessing to others, be a blessing to my kids, so my kids can know how to be a blessing to others.
Yeah.
To pour more of God into others. So therefore, I just want what God has for me. I just want his will for my life. So therefore, now change is a part of me.
Yeah. And I think like, and it's a part of you, but it's still hard. I mean, like
hard.
We still struggle.
Yes.
Like that's the thing.
Yes.
It's like even right before we jumped on here and we were praying. I mean, one of the things we both prayed was, God, like show us even in this as we go live, like where there are areas that we need to still work on.
Yes.
So I'm going to say, if you're struggling with change, or you're wanting to make a change and you don't know how, or you're being thrust into a change, I tell you, like, just ask God, pray to God and tell him to search your heart and show you where you've been resisting change, where you've been blocking your blessing, how you've been blocking your blessing. Ask him. Remember we talked about the Holy Spirit last week? The Holy Spirit intercedes for us. Ask him. Ask the Holy Spirit to show you.
He will tell you. He confirms. That's why earlier in my thing I said, pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to the people around you, because God uses anyone to get his messages across. And if you're praying about something, it could be in the word that somebody speaks to you. But if you're not listening, you're going to miss out on it. He confirms. Yes. He confirms. I think Tuesday I came up with the topic, change. I text Christy and I was like, hey, let's talk about change. She was like, did you pray about that? And I'm like, yeah, I prayed about it. And I was like, but look, you pray on it a little bit more to make sure. And as I said in church yesterday, the topic came up and all I did was take a picture and I sent it to Christy. And I'm like, look at the confirmation. And it's daily. It's daily for us. Like, it's like y'all are not on the wrong track. And we're seeking God for this. We're seeking God to come before you with the things that you might need. So don't take this for granted. Don't think that we're just telling you some stuff for you to just, oh, well, I heard it went in this ear and out the other ear. I promise you, if you embrace it and you listen to it, a change will come about in your life. Like she just said, we said before God, and we said, we don't only want to get the message to you. As we're speaking to you, we're looking to receive something from one another. We're looking to see where God is saying, okay, you can't only speak before these people and tell these people to do these things. This is something you need to work on too, as well. So right now we're looking, and we know that change is still going to come, because change is daily.
Yeah. Change
is daily. This is something that we work on every day. So I promise, if y'all just listening to what we're saying, you're taking it in, and you're like, okay, well, even if it's one little piece of information, even if we're on here for 30 to 45 minutes, if you only heard a minute of it, take that minute of it and move on it. Move on it, and I promise God is going to do something major in your life, because he's working in our life. I'm scared to see what else is going to come.
Oh, I'm excited. But it's
exciting still. Yeah, it's an exciting, scary, because God has been proving himself to both of us. Yeah. In our struggles.
Yes. And everything just keeps lining up. That's how we know it's really God. And I'm going to tell you that Jeremiah 10:23, I want to kind of leave y'all with something that you can take away. Jeremiah 10:23. You wrote that down too? I mean, he's telling us that he is always there with us, but he's also telling us if we try to do anything on our own logic, our own reasoning, our own understanding, we're not going to be successful.
Yes.
And so as you walk into a season of change, because I'm like you, Nikisha, I do believe 2019 is a year. It's not just us. I hear it from
every. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, like I feel it,
and I don't just feel it for us.
No,
like I know that it's good for us.
Yeah.
I know that it's good for us. But I feel it for so many other people, but it takes us to tap into it.
Yeah. So I feel like everybody is on the verge, on this cusp of coming into something new. I feel like the world is on the verge of something new.
Yes,
you know, everything is going to be flipped. So we have to learn how to embrace it. But again, Cliff's Notes version is Satan wants to stop change. That's why it's hard. You can't do change without God. Cliff's Notes. There you go.
And something just came to me. We like to change our circumstances in order to change our lives instead of changing our lives in order to change our circumstances.
I'll give that to you another way too, because this is the way I always like to say it, is we sometimes like the idea of God changing our circumstances, but we don't like the idea of God changing us.
Yes.
And here's the thing with change. Our circumstances will not just change alone. It comes down to us changing too. So if you are resisting change, there's something in there. I'm gonna go back to the mind. There's something in there. There's a deep-seated belief, a toxic mushroom cap that's in there that you've got to tackle so that you can learn how to embrace change and walk in this.
I think that we only want to change enough to escape our problems, not enough to bring a solution to our problems. So with us ending, I don't know. It's just, we're going to come to an end. But I just think that we have to embrace the change. We have to be willing to say that, okay, God, I'm here. I hear you, and I'm willing. It's hard for me, but I'm willing, because a willing heart.
Chantel just said over here, change me, Lord, have mercy. Lord, yes, that is the scariest prayer, but is the biggest prayer any of us can ever pray, change me. Change me. Search my heart. Show me where I've been blocking blessings. Especially for those of you who have been on here, who have been asking us, what's my calling? What's my purpose? Ask God to show you. The Holy Spirit will give it to you and show you today. I promise you. So, anyways, we've got all of this up on our page now. The YouTube channel is up and running. Email. So you have different access, different ways to get a hold of us all throughout the week. We are here for you. We love serving you guys. Do we have any other comments or anything we need to get to?
But change before you're forced to change. Get ahead of it. Have a blessed week, and think about changing. Think about changing some things that you're accustomed to doing.
Yes.
Have
All right,
a
you
blessed
guys.
week.
Many blessings.